child her age, Nurse Patricia said carefully. Dr. Klaus is a specialist, my mother replied smoothly. He knows what he's doing. Perhaps you'd like to call him? She produced Dr. Klaus's business card. Nurse Patricia did call, and I listened to her side of the conversation, growing more subdued as Dr. Klaus no doubt explained my severe behavioral disorders and the necessity of aggressive treatment. When she hung up, Nurse Patricia looked defeated. He says the medications are appropriate for her condition, but I'm going to document this incident thoroughly. My mother's smile was razor sharp. Of course, documentation is so important. As she drove me home, my mother was silent until we reached a red light. Then she turned to look at me. You're getting sloppy, she said quietly, making scenes, drawing attention. That needs to stop. The medicine makes me sick, I whispered. The medicine keeps you manageable, she corrected. Would you prefer the alternative? I didn't ask what the alternative was. I already knew. The soundproof closet she'd built in the basement, discovered during one of my foggy explorations while she was at the store. A small, dark space with padding on the walls, a lock on the outside. That night, she showed me a new journal entry she was writing. Daughter exhibited substance-seeking behavior today. Attempted to convince school nurse to change her medications. When confronted, became agitated and accusatory, concerning escalation in manipulative behaviors. Everything was backwards. Every cry for help became evidence against me. Every symptom of her abuse became proof of my illness. The next morning, I could barely get out of bed. My mother had to practically carry me to the car. At school, I slumped at my desk, the world swimming in and out of focus. Mrs. Henderson noticed immediately. She knelt beside my desk during independent reading time. Are you feeling all right? I wanted to tell her everything. The medications, the edited recordings, the soundproof closet waiting in the basement. But the words wouldn't come. My tongue felt too heavy, my thoughts too scattered. Medicine, I managed to whisper. She glanced toward the door where my mother was undoubtedly lurking somewhere in the building. I'm going to talk to the principal, she said quietly. This isn't right. But by lunch, I saw Mrs. Henderson in the principal's office with my mother. Through the window, I watched my mother pull out her phone, show something on the screen. Mrs. Henderson's face went pale. She nodded slowly, then left the office without looking back. My mother caught my eye through the window and smiled. That afternoon, Mrs. Henderson avoided me. When I tried to approach her desk after class, she busied herself with papers. You should get to your next class, she said without looking up. Another ally lost. Another adult who'd tried to help, silenced by whatever my mother had shown her. I wondered what it was this time. Edited videos of me being violent, fabricated threats I'd supposedly made. The possibilities were endless when you controlled the narrative. The days blurred worse after that. My mother increased the medications again, claiming I was showing increased agitation at school. The white noise from the headphones mixed with the fog in my brain until I wasn't sure what was real anymore. Sometimes I thought I heard her voice through the static, whispering things I couldn't quite make out. Sometimes I woke up in different clothes than I'd gone to bed in, with no memory of changing. The cameras in my room recorded everything, but I never saw the footage, just knew it existed. Another weapon in her arsenal. During a particularly bad week, when I could barely walk straight, the fire alarm went off at school. The sudden loud noise sent panic through my medication-dulled system. I tried to stand, to follow the evacuation procedure, but my legs wouldn't cooperate. I made it 3 steps before crashing to the floor. This time, I didn't get up. I woke in the hospital. The beeping of machines and the absence of white noise was so jarring I started crying. A doctor I didn't recognize was examining me, her face serious. Can you tell me what medications you're taking? She asked gently. I tried to remember, but my mother appeared in the doorway before I could speak. Oh, thank goodness, she cried, rushing to my bedside. I was so worried. She hasn't been taking her medications properly, hiding them, spitting them out. Dr. Klaus warned this might happen. The doctor frowned. The blood tests show extremely high levels of sedatives in her system, far above therapeutic doses. She must have taken extra, my mother said quickly. She's been hoarding them. I found a stash in her room just yesterday. I was about to call Dr. Klaus about it. I need to speak with the patient alone, the doctor said firmly. My mother's grip on my hand tightened painfully. Of course, but you should know she's been diagnosed with severe oppositional defiant disorder and a tendency toward manipulation. Dr. Klaus can provide full documentation. After she left, the doctor pulled her chair closer. I'm Dr. Sarah. I want to help you. Can you tell me what's really happening? I wanted to trust her. Her eyes seemed kind, her concern genuine, but I'd trusted before, and it always ended the same way. My mom gives me the medicine, I whispered, more than the bottles say. Dr. Sarah made notes. Has anyone else noticed this? Everyone notices. No one does anything. The words came out bitter, hopeless. She has documentation for everything. Recordings, videos, journals going back years. What kind of recordings? I tried to explain the edited audio, the fabricated evidence, but I could see the doubt creeping into her eyes. It sounded crazy, even to me. A mother meticulously crafting years of false documentation to abuse her child while appearing to be the perfect parent? Who would believe that? Dr. Sarah ordered more tests, spoke to Dr. Klaus on the phone, reviewed my mother's documentation. With each conversation, her initial concern faded into professional distance. By the time I was discharged 2 days later, the narrative was set. I'd been hoarding medication and took too much in a cry for attention. My mother was praised for her vigilance in finding my stash and seeking help. The ride home was silent except for the white noise pumping through my headphones. My mother had brought them to the hospital, explaining to the staff that they helped with my sensory issues. At home, she led me straight to the basement. The soundproof closet was smaller than I'd remembered, maybe 4 feet by 4 feet, with thick padding on every surface. No light switch inside, just darkness once the door closed. Dr. Klaus agrees you need more intensive intervention, she said calmly. This is a safe space for you to work through your behaviors without hurting yourself or others. Please, I begged, but she was already guiding me inside. 2 hours to start, she said. We'll work up from there. The padding blocks all sound, so you can make all the noise you want. Therapeutic, really. The door closed. The lock clicked. Darkness swallowed me whole. In the absolute silence and darkness, time lost meaning. Was it minutes or hours? My medication-foggy brain couldn't track it. I tried counting seconds, but kept losing track. Starting over, losing track again. When the door finally opened, the light was blinding. My mother helped me out, her touch gentle, her voice concerned. How do you feel? Did it help? I couldn't speak. My throat was raw from screaming I couldn't even hear. She marked something in her journal. We'll try again tomorrow. Dr. Klaus says consistency is key. The pattern established itself quickly. School, where I struggled to stay conscious through classes. Home, where the headphones went on immediately. Dinner, medication hidden in my food. Then the closet for therapeutic isolation. I tried leaving notes at school again, but my handwriting had deteriorated from the medication. The words came out shaky, illegible. When a teacher found one, they brought it straight to my mother during her volunteer shift. See what I mean? She told them sadly. The writing exercises Dr. Klaus recommended aren't helping. If anything, she's regressing. Ms. Seeby appeared less and less. When I did see her, she looked hollow, frightened. Whatever my mother had done to her went beyond simple threats. I wanted to ask, but we were never alone, and I could barely form coherent sentences anyway. One day, during a brief moment of clarity between medications, I realized my mother had been preparing for this my whole life. Every documented incident, every piece of evidence, every professional she'd fooled. It was all intentional. She'd built an impenetrable fortress of lies with me trapped inside. The school held a meeting about my deteriorating condition. I sat there, swaying slightly from the medication, while adults discussed my fate. My mother presented her evidence. The journals, the recordings, the notes I'd left, the medication hoarding, the hospital incident. We're considering residential treatment, she told them, tears in her eyes. Dr. Klaus knows an excellent facility that specializes in cases like hers. Principal Morrison looked troubled. This seems like quite an escalation. Perhaps we should get a second opinion? My mother's face hardened for just a moment before the tears returned. Of course, if you think that's best. Though I worry about the delay. She's getting worse every day. Mrs. Henderson spoke up quietly. I've noticed she seems heavily medicated. Perhaps that's contributing to— Are you a medical professional? My mother interrupted. Because Dr. Klaus is. As was Dr. Sarah at the hospital. As is her pediatrician who signs off on all her prescriptions. I'm doing everything I can to help my daughter. And frankly, these accusations are hurtful. The meeting ended with apologies to my mother and promises of support. Another victory for her. Another defeat for me. That night, the closet time extended to 4 hours. In the darkness, I felt my sanity slipping away. The combination of sensory deprivation, medication, and isolation was breaking me down exactly as she'd planned. When I emerged, I could barely stand. She had to help me up the stairs, her grip firm, but not gentle anymore. You're almost there, she whispered, almost ready for the next phase. I didn't ask what the next phase was. In my medication-addled mind, I already knew. She was going to make me disappear, just like the child she'd had before me, the one who'd moved away to live with relatives, the one no one could contact. The thought should have terrified me. Instead, I felt only exhausted acceptance. She'd won. She'd always been going to win. But then, during library time at school, something unexpected happened. I was slumped at a table, pretending to read while fighting to keep my eyes open, when someone sat down across from me. It was Ms. Seeby. She looked different, thinner, with dark circles under her eyes that matched mine. She didn't speak, just slid a book across the table. Inside the cover was a single line written in pencil. She did this to another child. I found proof. My heart, sluggish from medication, tried to race. I looked up at her, hope and fear warring in my chest. She glanced around, then wrote more. The guidance counselor is building a case. Real evidence. Hold on. Before I could respond, she was gone, leaving the book behind. I tucked it into my backpack, the first spark of hope I'd felt in months. That evening, my mother seemed agitated. She kept checking her phone, pacing the kitchen while I ate dinner in silence. There's been some staff turnover at your school, she said finally. Nothing for you to worry about. But I could see the calculation in her eyes, the wheels turning as she adjusted her plans. Something had shifted, and she knew it. The medications that night tasted different, stronger. I fought to stay conscious, knowing that falling asleep might mean never waking up, or waking up somewhere far from here, where no one would ever find me. As darkness crept in despite my efforts, I heard her on the phone with Dr. Klaus. Yes, I think it's time. The residential facility you mentioned, how soon could they take her? The last thing I remembered was her standing in my doorway, silhouetted against the hall light. Soon, sweetheart, she said softly. Very soon, this will all be over. I woke to my mother shaking me roughly. The room was still dark, but I could make out her silhouette against the hallway light. My head felt like it was stuffed with wet cotton from whatever she'd put in my dinner. Get up, we're leaving. Her voice was clipped, urgent. I tried to sit up, but my limbs felt disconnected from my body. She yanked me upright, shoving clothes into my arms. The headphones were already on my head, the white noise drowning out whatever else she was saying. She dragged me to the car, practically throwing me into the back seat. Through the medication haze, I noticed suitcases in the trunk. We were really leaving. The residential facility Dr. Klaus mentioned, or somewhere worse. The car started moving. I pressed my face against the cold window, watching our house disappear. My mother kept checking the rearview mirror, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. At a red light, she turned to look at me. Her lips moved, but I couldn't hear through the white noise. She reached back and ripped the headphones off. Listen carefully. When we get there, you say nothing. You're sick. You need help. That's all anyone needs to know. Where are we going? My voice came out slurred. Somewhere they understand difficult children. She shoved the headphones back on. The drive felt endless. I dozed fitfully, waking each time we stopped. Gas stations, rest stops, all blurring together. My mother never let me out of the car, just handed me water and crackers that tasted like chalk. Dawn was breaking when we finally stopped. Through bleary eyes, I saw a large building surrounded by high walls. It looked looked more like a prison than a treatment center. My mother
Promise that you'll catch me later.